Hello everyone, we're back. This is Surf, and we're here again with another Crusader Kings 3. No updates yet. This is September 2nd, second day of release, and we're gonna hop in here to observe the next game. Alright, 1074 Munster has, looks like, become the earliest hegemon of Ireland. We'll see if they can take it or not. See if they can complete the conquest or devolve into their own civil conflict or fall to maybe England or another foreign power. Norway in 1080 is no more, being annexed in some marital relation by Denmark. 1086, France getting hit from two sides, one from England and one from the HRE. I know in last game they sort of got balkanized down south by the HRE, and we'll see if that happens again. England taking territory in Brittany just now. So England currently expanding on the continent. We'll keep an eye on it and see if that continues or if they can't hold up. 1096, Sweden looking to be the #1 hegemon of the Baltic. We'll see if they can keep it. Norway is back too. The little marriage between Denmark and Norway did not last. So looks like the Baltic is going to be a very volatile region this game. Little funny development here in 1105, the High Chiefdom of Lapland holding territory here in what would you call Pisa, modern day Pisa, Lapland. And if you're unfamiliar, Lapland is all the way up here. So these guys have definitely got some connections down here. They're very well versed in the arts of diplomacy. So back and forth in North France in 1115, England has lost some territory in Normandy, but also gained the vast majority of Brittany. They've also had some little succession things, little breakaway states, all the way down here, Cornwall, Devon, Berkshire, and Oxfordshire. So we'll see if England can consolidate or continue to balkanize. 1123, France making gains down here in Hispania, Lapland losing Pisa but gaining this territory here, Mercia, not to be confused with the Mercia right here. 1138, Norway vying for the Scottish territories, while Connaught has replaced Munster as the big current hegemon of Hibernia. Two big developments here in 1147. The Byzantines have taken nearly all of the Black Sea, just like last game, and also Navarre annexing the vast majority of the Ossetian cultural group right down here. Yeah, the Ossetian. I gotta figure out how to pronounce that. But Navarre now here, and that is under threat from the Holy Roman Empire. So we'll see who comes on top. See who comes out on top. Sorry. See if the Holy Roman Empire gets this, if Navarre keeps it, or if it balkanizes into relative independence movements, and Navarre and the HRE sort of vie over the sphere, this little sphere of influence. And just as I finished saying that, the HRE annexes all of it, all of southern France and Barcelona and Navarre. The Byzantines also take all of Magna Graecia, you could call it. 1159, the HRE, the hegemon of Europe, rivaled only by the Byzantines. If these two go to war, it's gonna be crazy. The Holy Roman Empire now controlling all of France, all of Navarre, all the way down here, to Valencia. Complete upset from the HRE against the French. We'll see where the HRE goes next. 1169, it appears the HRE has overextended, losing Hungary, Hesse, France, Navarre, now Aquitaine, Lombardy, Modena, Tuscany, and Hungary. we'll see if it continues or if the HRE can pull off a resurgence, because they still have their stuff down here. As far as world religions are concerned, we'll look at that right now. The Reconquista seems to have failed this time around. Where now the insular Christianity has taken root once again in the British Isles. Base game, it starts in Ireland. Last game, we saw it take the entirety of the British Isles, the Irish sort of medieval variant, become dominant in the Isles. We'll see if that stays the same. We've got a Cathars. We got Cathars and Waldensian. Now, last game, Waldensian became the major Christian denomination within the Reconquisted Hispania, but now we can see it sort of just in this one tile right here, and over there in Norway. We'll keep an eye on the religions. We'll see who moves where, if at all. Seems though the Crusades have been had a moderate degree of success in 1186, and I think we can see that by Norway holding this little landlocked piece of Syria right here. The Byzantines control Jerusalem, and I don't know if they're going to be able to keep it. They seem to be quite surrounded, but in the Crusader King series, kingdoms fall and kingdoms rise, and sometimes they last and sometimes they don't. Sometimes they grow exponentially and sometimes they crumble. So we'll see what happens. So we got a big three-way war here, it seems. We got Finland, Sweden, and Norway. Norway occupying parts of Sweden here, while other parts of Finland, they might actually have just stopped Norway taking at least this territory right here. Yeah, so Norway taking victory over Finland early here while I'm talking, and we'll see what Norway can take, if at all, from Sweden. 1222 in formable nation news, Mongolia, the Khanate of Mongolia. Very nice. We could see a return to the great Khanates of old. Maybe. Maybe they will. Maybe they won't. We'll have to see. The HRE, after losing France and Aquitaine and Navarre all those years ago, have turned their attention to the east. Now up in Pomerania and Prussia, all the way to, you could say, modern-day Belarus. See if they can keep it. They weren't able to last time, but it's the CK series, so everything's up for debate. Everything's surprising. 1235 Denmark, now falling from grace, controlling only the top bit here and the islands from Latvia to Estonia. Sweden taking the vast majority of what we know today as Denmark, and Norway taking considerable gains within modern day Finland. Scotland here too. Scotland consolidating the north of the British Isles, all except this little county right here. Something unrelated I've noticed while zooming in and out of the map is these little landmarks here. Like we've got Hadrian's Wall up here in the British Isles, in the Upper British Isles, and over here there's Stonehenge in the barony of Salisbury. What else we got? We got the Colosseum in Rome. We got the Basilica in Byzantium. We've got the Temple Mount here in Jerusalem, and these things are just everywhere. So I really like to see it in these little things around. Like, I'll probably just be looking around and learn about some landmark really cool that I didn't know about. So I think if you're playing CK2, you should take a real close look at your map and see what you got going on. 1256 Denmark resurgent, taking the throne of Norway and all of the holdings that Norway had. So now they hold the majority of Finland and the, what do you call it, the North Sea. I guess you couldn't call this the North Sea, but they've got this whole coast, the whole Scandinavian outer coast, and Scotland as well, making major gains against England. England, however, making major gains against Ireland. So we'll see who comes out on there. The Holy Roman Empire also with several outposts in the southern coast of Wales and up here in Annandale. Scotland in the year 1271 has taken the lead as the lead prospect of the British Isles, taking more and more territory off of England, reducing them to basically the majority of Ireland and the Kingdom of Wessex plus the East Anglia. We'll see if they can keep it. Open just there, the overextension of Scotland. Now, Mercia and Deira both getting their independence. We'll see if Scotland can take it back. But Scotland also has major coastlines in Scandinavia from the tip of Denmark, or modern day Norway here, all the way up to the edge of Sweden. Mark your calendars, ladies and gentlemen. 1277. The Holy Roman Empire stretches from the Mercia in Hispania to St. Petersburg, all the way up in modern day Russia. Can you believe it? They've got holdings from Annandale all the way to Carthage. It's really marvelous. The Holy Roman Empire must be very proud. Emperor Egbert of the Holy Roman Empire. That's a little Anglo-Saxon name, even though he's Bavarian. 1291, the Mongol Empire has formed out of Mongolia. We'll keep track on their progress. Meanwhile, in Hispania, the Christian kingdoms are slowly coming around and taking the coast. The HRE has lost the kingdom of Aragon, which now rules in the HRE's stead, but they have kept this little slice right here, right next to the Pyrenees. But you look at that, Syria and the Czech Republic, Islamics too, a Czech Ashari. Can you believe it? Very wild stuff. England versus Scotland for the battle of the hegemony of the British Isles. Right now, Scotland has the upper hand, but that might not last. It looks like the Byzantine Empire has completely collapsed. Yeah, there's not a ton of hope for the Byzantine Empire. All they've got is this part of Turkey, Cyprus, little Libya, little thing right here, the Peloponnese, and like, what'd you call this? Serbia and Croatia. It's really a sad state of affairs. So the year is 1336, and unfortunately, the Mongols have collapsed into nothingness. Right here, I don't see them at all. They didn't even shrink. They're just completely dissolved amongst its member clans. With Poland seceding from the Holy Roman Empire, the Holy Roman Empire looks almost entirely dissolved. They don't have much hope. In other news, there is the petty kingdom of Savoy and Byzantine Empire with little bases around the British Isles. The British Isles have balkanized, I guess you could say. There's no clear hegemon or dominant power. I mean, it's definitely between Scotland and York, but that's really about it. Usually England will, or Scotland will pull through and unify the continent, but that has not happened. It's been almost 400 years and that has not happened. The year is 1395. Jorvik, or just York, because they're Christian. They're not, well, they're Norwegian, but they're not Danish or Viking. Ireland has been unified under the house of Frese Wollen. I wish I could tell where they came from. I guess the Holy Roman Empire. The grandparents was the Emperor of the Holy Roman Empire. That's interesting. Also, Scotland has unified Iceland, so even if they get kicked off the continent, they've got some place to go. And this little place in northern Sweden. But in the worst case scenario, if Scotland ends up getting kicked off the Isle, they still have Iceland to return to. Look at this, it's like a little table. I really like that. Very nice. In the Middle East, Tun has unified the central Middle East Kiti has unified India, and Nubia has taken over modern day Egypt for the vast majority of it. Jerusalem looking thick, expanding into you call it Hejaz, the Hejaz region, and and slowly around. The Ottoman Empire has completely dissolved. Thessalonica taking the lion's share, it seems, the best share, followed closely by Hellas. Just noticed 1402 the Almoravids taking Aquitaine. They remain Catholic. The Almoravids are a Muslim faith, though they're Islamic. So we'll see how long all of this remains Christian. We might be seeing this move quite soon. It's cool seeing the Coptic faith grow around Italy, the Balkans, Greece, because the Coptic faith originally started in Egypt, and they also founded Christian monasticism, really, and like they're like the prime example of Christian asceticism, the foregoing of earthly pleasures in pursuit of religious goals. And the Coptics really, in the Christian world, were the people that first took that into their own. So it's kind of cool to see a primarily Egyptian sect of Christianity now up as high as Austria, which is really cool. Oh, they're in Wales too. It's very nice. With the Orthodox Christianity on the Isle of Man, things are things are unorthodox this game in the religion department. Aquitaine, now under the Cathar faith, have wrestled their independence from the Almoravids and are re-Christianizing the Ossetian French, as well as going into Hispania and doing what Castile, Leon, and Galicia have failed to do. France also taking bits and pieces of this. As England has, it seems, is completely wiped out. The House of Normandy now under French rule once again. 1421 on the Byzantine front. It seems they've completely dissolved except for their place in North Africa, their place in like Wallachia, I guess you could say, as well as Transylvania and in Constantinople. Now in 1429, it looks like sub-Saharan Africa, the western portion anyway, is divided between the Kumasi in the south and the Almoravids in the north here, along North Africa, and the western Sahara, going all the way into, this is Chad right here. Where would this be? Not Libya. I guess Nigeria, right there. Northern Nigeria and into the deserts of Libya. A very large portion there. Basically, very comparable to French Northwest Africa and their colonial holdings. That's all I can really compare it to in terms of size. Alright, here we are in 1446. Odd news with the culture front. There is this Oghuz little cultural group in central Germany here. And for reference, they live here in Iran, Afghanistan, lower Pakistan, modern day region. And they're part of the Fuldids. Fuldids being a Orthodox group of Turks. I think that's really cool. On the religious front in the British Isles, it seems like we've got a little every bit of Christianity here. Like we got Insular, Coptic, Waldensian, all the boys right here. Meanwhile, in the Polish sphere of religion, they're Adamite, which, as we can see here, involves the shredding of their clothes. And so, currently, as it stands, the Polish culture group, as well as these little bits over here, are just one big nudist camp, it seems. Well, here we are, everyone. It's 1457. This is the end of the game, as where I've decided to stop it. because in official games the game ends in 1453. Now, as we can see, Scotland has taken the entirety of the British Isles, while Burgundy, being a Cathar nation, has basically capitalized on the like from Savoy to Gascony, the whole Alsatian, southern French things, while the Almoravids have somehow annexed France. I don't know how they did that, but they did, and now they control a piece of Ireland, and it's very wild. It looks like the I think I'm more than willing to say that the at the Almoravids, the Islamic world has really um, reversed the Reconquista. For those of you thinking of doing your own recordings, don't show pictures of the Adamites. They are in fact naked in their leader portraits. So don't do that. So here we are. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, favorite, as well as subscribe, and I hope to be back here tomorrow for more Crusader Kings 3 content.